You're listening to the Zone Coverage Football Show, where opinions, passion, and pride are always on the line. Live from Teese Towers, here's your host, Mark Teese.
Hello, and welcome along to the Zone Coverage Football Show on a glorious Tuesday evening. Yes, it is Tuesday, the 30th of December. Only a couple of days left of the year, and then you can just reel out them stupid New Year's resolutions that you'll stick to for about a week at best, and then it'll all go boobs up as always. Anyway, less of that and more pigskin talk. Fingers crossed you are tuned in via the TuneIn and Spreaker app. I say this every single week. The Spreaker app's got a little chat room in the corner, so if you want to engage with me during the next 60 minutes, then feel free to do so. I'm not going to open the phone lines today because I'm just going to reel through what happened in Week 17 and the implications that had on the playoffs. I'm going to talk a little bit about what happened Black Monday. Did your head coach survive? Mine didn't. Woohoo! Thank God. Rex is gone. In fairness, I'm going to miss the big guy, but we'll talk about that in a moment. If you want to listen back in the form of a podcast, feel free to do so. Head over to iTunes and Stitcher, search Zone Coverage Football Show, hit that subscribe button, and while you're there, why not leave us a comment, a nice review? 5 stars would be very much appreciated, but if you think it's a big pile of steaming garbage, then 1 star, fair dues, I don't mind that. And anyway, if you did miss Sunday's show, it was a belter, I will say so myself. We had the new Hot Routes. The Hot Route was unveiled where rather than setting a question of the day, so to say, we played like 3 plays of the week. The best 3 running touchdowns from Week 16. We had Marshawn Lynch touchdown, Jeremy Hill and Frank Gore. Managed to find the radio comms of that, embedded that into the show. That went down pretty well. Everyone got the chance to vote. I do believe Jeremy Hill won that. I'm going to try and do that again this upcoming Sunday, as we have the wild card weekend. So I'm trying to find the radio comms for a couple of pick sixes. So we'll be looking at pick sixes. Spoiler alert for Sunday's Hot Route. So what have we done? We've done Stitcher, we've done iTunes, Spreaker, TuneIn. We've got a Facebook page, which is pretty much a carbon copy of the everything that goes on Twitter. Talking of Twitter, that is at Zone Coverage FS. So if you want to hit me up with whatever you've got whilst I'm on air, feel free to do so. Zone Coverage FS. If you want to send in a big email telling me how wonderful I am, that'd be kind of awesome. If you just want to send an email telling me how crap I am, that'd also be kind of awesome. So you can do that via, what's the email address? I can't remember. Zone Coverage Football Show at mail.com. There you go. Subject title, just put whatever. Failing that, get to the website, zonecoveragefootballshow.com. There's a funky little tab on there. It says contact me. So just feel free to do that. Plus, you'll find all the old shows on there. A little bit about me, about the show's features. The show schedule's on there. There's links to our good friends over at Huddle Magazine, huddlemagazine.com. Tom usually comes on a Sunday and gives us the up-to-date minute news on there. Couldn't this week, had a family do, all the family over it being Christmas and that. But anyway, go check out huddlemagazine.com. Plus, we've had the fantasy advice from the guys at Dundee NFL and their fantastic podcast. Links are all on the site there, so go and check those out. Check out all my friends, my good buddies over at Huddle and Dundee NFL. That'd be very much appreciated. Right, have I sold this enough? That's my big sell, my big New Year's sale. Right then, let's get in to what happened on Week 17, the final week of the season, the pigskin regular season. It's over, and I'm not going to lie, it saddens me that all that waiting and pre-season nonsense and stuff has come to an end. We've still got the playoffs to go, but Week 17 is done and dusted. But let's see. Let's talk a little bit about Black Monday. As has been speculated for the course of the past few weeks, Jim Harbaugh and the San Francisco 49ers mutually parted ways briefly after the game on Sunday. And I don't know if you've seen this on various NFL-based or themed websites, but some heartfelt interviews with the players after. Thank Gore, to mention just the one name, fairness, just speaking pretty highly of Harbaugh and how he'll be missed, and their experiences under him over the course of the last few seasons. So Jim Harbaugh, he's gone now, and I do believe, just before jumping on air, that he has now signed with Michigan. There's a press conference going on. That $8 million nonsense, that wasn't quite true. I believe he's signed for around about $5 million a year. Still a nice chunk of change. So I think that's incentive-based as well. So that's Jim Harbaugh. So the 49ers are looking for a new head coach. Also, as I mentioned, my Jets and big old Rex Ryan, he's also departed, as did general manager John Idzik. Pretty glad to see the back of Idzik. Rex's time, it was time for Rex to go. As I've said numerous times, love the big guy. I will miss him. He's a character. I hope he doesn't go into TV. I want him to stay within the league, with a team, whoever gets him. Honestly, you're in for absolutely fantastic time. He's just a good guy. I got plenty of time for Rex, so I wish him all the best going forward. Same really with the Falcons. Mike Smith done a pretty damn good job in Atlanta. Again, it's just got to that sort of phase where it's time for a change in Atlanta. So head coach Mike Smith, he is also done. He's also on the dole. Obviously not on the dole, but looking for a new job, I should say. Chicago Bears, they decided to move on from the so-called quarterback whisperer, Mark Trestman. I wonder if that's on his CV. It's like Mark Trestman went to school here, did this, Bears head coach, and at the bottom it says, interesting fact about me, quarterback whisperer. I wonder if that's on there. Anyway, I'll never know. Also gone from the Bears as general manager Phil Emery. He's also been given the boot. So that is pretty much Black Monday in a nutshell. And I just said on Twitter earlier, at Zone Coverage FS, if you've got a pulse, those 4 teams are now interested in hiring you. They're asking for interviews with pretty much every coordinator, every general manager, and anyone that's ever uttered the 3 letters NFL, touched the pigskin, anything. I'm surprised I've not had a phone call, in fairness, because everyone is linked to every job possible. So there's a lot of speculation going on, as you'd expect after Black Monday. So right then, we will. I'm going to check in on Spreaker, and I'm also going to check in on Twitter because I can see a couple of notifications. I've got a sneaky feeling I might know who these guys are. John Cartwright, hey, how are you, John? He says, evening all. John McDonald as well says, evening. I'm going to actually try and see if I can reply to those guys on the Spreaker app. I can't spell though, so that's never good. My end. Evening all. Hit enter. Boom. Yes, I've replied for once in my life on Spreaker. Yeah, so John and John, they're talking to each other on there. So that's great news. Right then, just have a quick check in on Twitter. My main man, well, not the main man, that'd be favouritism because there's a few regulars now. Will Davies, at Not Only a Hat Rack, says, evening, quick question for you regarding the Jets. Would you prefer Geno to be kept as the starter or backing up a rookie? Oh, that is a damn good question, sir. Backing up a rookie. Well, I wouldn't like us to move. We're not going to move up the draft, I don't think. I think the Tampa and the Titans, they're going to take Winston and Mariota. Beyond that, I think there's what's his name? Kuklad maybe at quarterback. I don't really know a great deal about that. That's something I've got to look into. Delve a bit deeper into the drafting process. So I'm not sure who'd be left there. Would I want Geno behind another rookie? No, I don't think we go with rookie. Geno is obviously going to stay still be going into his 3rd year. I've heard a lot of people mentioning Jake Locker to the Jets, so I don't know how that'd fit. Jay Cutler, I think again it's going to be a mishmash year for the Jets. So Geno's going to feature in some part, but he did have a career day the other day against the Dolphins. He lit them up, had a ridiculous passer rating, perfect passer rating. So you never ever know. But I'm not going to hold my breath. To be honest, Will, I don't really know what's going to happen. I just know it's probably going to be another average year on the horizon, and that's very sad that I am already stating that, and it's not even January. So, never mind. Right, here we go. Oh, Ron's been online as well on Twitter. He says, at RocketRon_65. Cheers for the better time today. Catering to everyone's need. He says, got any fantasy advice? And that is a shot because I've not been on my regular Twitter account. So Ron handed me my rear end. I did say I was in 2 fantasy finals. I won 1. But Ron, he gave me one hell of a beatdown over a 2-week period in the ESPN League, what I was in. So, congratulations, Ron. Fair dues. You kicked me rear end, buddy. Congrats, and that is it. Got Huddle Magazine. Tom's on the ball here. Breaking news. Jaguars have just announced that Jed Fish has been relieved of his duties. So, breaking news from Huddle. Awesome stuff, guys. Bit of back and forth going on between the two Johns I see on the Spreaker app. So right then, let's delve into the Week 17 action. We will start off in Atlanta. And this was a beatdown in all 3 phases. The Panthers just physically the Panthers physically outpowered the Falcons and their sheer desire to win. That was pretty much evident throughout. The Falcons' sorry season just crumbled in the Dome. Matt Ryan threw 2 interceptions. They were both returned to the house. Roman Harper and Trey Boston. He was sacked 6 times. The game was pretty much done and dusted at the half as the Panthers returned, into an interception, and then they capitalised on a Roddy White fumble. It was a bizarre few minutes, which pretty much summed up the Falcons season. It was like a 2-minute period towards the end of the first half, and Matt Ryan was either on his backside or just shaking his head in utter disbelief. The O-line offered no protection and fairness. And the Panthers, they were just up for it. Cam Newton, he threw for a touchdown, rushed for a touchdown. Panthers, that was their 4th straight victory. It was the first time also in NFC South history that someone has won the division in back-to-back seasons, and the Panthers will now host a home game in the playoffs. I can't remember who the Panthers have got in the playoffs off the top of my head. I think they welcome the Chiefs. Cardinals. That's right, the Cardinals. Chiefs done dusted. What have I been smoking last couple of days? Anyway, that is that. We will get into, talking of the Chiefs, let's go Chargers Chiefs. This one finished 19-7 to the Chiefs. The Chargers' chances of making the postseason crumbled with ease as their another offensive line bad day at the office, really. It just didn't happen for the Chargers up in Arrowhead. Chase Daniels was on the centre for the Chiefs. For the injured Alex Smith, I think he'd got an injured spleen. To be fair, he effectively moved the change during the first half, but like last week against the Steelers, they had to settle for field goals. The Chiefs should have been way, way, way out of sight. It should not have been as close as it was. The score actually flatters the Chargers, in fairness. But you've got to give some credit to this Chargers defence. It did show some resolve. Into the second half, the Chiefs were up 16-7. Rivers and Co. slowly started to turn the screw, and that's it. The Chiefs just unable to convert in the red zone, and like I say, they were sort of kept him in the game. Justin Houston for the Chiefs took his sack tally to 22. He had 4 in this game, and that surpassed Derek Thomas's franchise record for the Chiefs. Injuries as well, they also conspired against the Chargers in fairness, but they left it a little too late. I think it was into the second half. Antonio Gates had not been thrown to at all. They decided to go to Gates, and as any good team would do, the Chiefs made the adjustments. They made sure that Gates was covered. And that was that. In fairness, it was a decent game. It felt like for both teams that just Week 17 was maybe 1 week too many. They both played really well the last couple of, the week before, in fairness. So that was the Chiefs beating the Chargers and ending their season, in fairness. And then there was one point during that game where the Chiefs were actually in the playoffs because obviously they were beating the Chargers and results were going their way. So it was a fantastic final week of the regular season. Plenty going on throughout. Just going to check in now on Spreaker again as John Cartwright asks, I should say. My Chiefs are out now, so who to support in the playoffs? Not the Broncos, obviously. Who are you cheering for? And John McDonald is replying and gone, going for the Hawks, can't cheer for the Packs or Lions. Fair comment there. And I'm going to have to say I might have to. The Seahawks, they're going to take some beating. As a neutral, I'm just going to sit back and watch all this unfold. The playoffs are just usually very, very exciting. Saturday games, I remember last year. Who was it now? The Colts and the Chiefs. Sorry to bring that up, John, but that was one of the best playoff games I'd seen in a long time. I think Andrew Luck was diving in for touchdowns. Alex Smith actually had an absolutely fantastic game, but it just wasn't meant to be. So if we can get a repeat of that sort of action this weekend, then I'm well up for that. That will be a very good weekend. Just have a quick look in on Twitter now. It says DBY_3. Just heard Mark reading out your message on zone coverage. Top work. So yeah, I am now getting a bit of stick for getting a beat down. Fantasy wise, Toon Time, another one of the regulars, is back in. He does drop a swear word, and he says he forgot the show was today. Yeah, I am mixing it up a bit this week. If you're playing catch up, we usually have the Wednesday walkthrough, but it's like TC's Tuesday take because the wife is whisking me off for a night away, and I think we're getting Manchester, in fairness, so we'll be round there if anyone's in Manchester. I have no idea what the plans are. So anyway, let's get back to the show. Where were we? Next up, the Browns and the Ravens. So with the Chargers lost, the Ravens seized upon the opportunity to sneak into the wild card spot. The Browns, they were with Connor Shaw at QB, made them work for the 6th seed, in fairness. At the half, the score was 3 apiece, thanks to field goals from Justin Tucker and Garrett Hartley. The Browns then added a touchdown off an 8-play, 80-yard drive, sealed by a 2-yard score by running back Terrence West. Flacco once again seems to struggle at times, but when it mattered, he pulled it out of the bag. He completed 8 of 9 for 161 yards and 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter as the Ravens reeled off 17 points to set up a wild-card matchup against division rivals, the Pittsburgh Steelers, this weekend. Justin Forsett capped off an impressive season with 119 yards rushing. That came off 17 carries. It was the 5th time this year that he's rushed for 100 yards or more. Both Steve Smith and Torrey Smith, they went over 80 yards apiece. As for the Browns, suspensions, fines, and a turbulent few weeks for them, it just caught up with them. Their off-season is going to be very, very interesting. Let's see what the fallout is in Cleveland. So congratulations to the Ravens, who somehow squeaked in to the playoffs. They've been up and down over the last month. Their offense has really struggled. And then at times you watch the Ravens and they've been really good. So it's hard to predict. And what are you going to get with the Ravens? Who's going to turn up? Just checking in on Spreaker there. John, yeah, they are Chiefs fan. He says Colts 45, Chiefs 44. Thanks for reminding me, Mark. Sorry, buddy. I was just talking about a really good game that went on. So the Panthers have been mentioned as well. So Cardinals, Panthers and stuff. There's a lot of chat going on in the Spreaker chat room. So if you are listening via Spreaker, I do suggest that you go over there, and there's some great back and forth going there. Some good chat, plenty of action going on all formats today and our midweek shows. And as I did mention a while ago when I started the midweek shows, this is like an experiment my end to see if I can get people to tune in during the week and sort of respond to it, getting if I can put it together. And I will say, few weeks in, so far so good. It's been a good positive reaction, and I'm managing to cope with the extra work I've given myself. Talking of which, let's get back to these games. So we then move on to the Bengals and Steelers. As mentioned, just that the Steelers will entertain the Ravens after seeing off fellow division rivals, the Bengals, 27-17 as they clinched the North, thanks to an outstanding play by Antonio Brown. Add to that the usual Red Sanchez, AK, Andy Dalton interceptions. But in fairness, I think one of those picks was more on AJ Green. He stopped and it was an easy pick. In the end, it was a tough, close, physical contest throughout, in fairness. The Steelers lost star rusher Le'Veon Bell. He had a knee injury. His status, I've seen the update I've got so far, there's no ligament damage or anything, but I'm unaware of his status for this weekend. It's a big ask, in fairness. There's a lot of people also moaning about that hit. It was a perfectly legal hit. What can you do? Shoulder on the knee, it happens, get over it. It's unfortunate that Lev Bell got injured, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles. It wasn't malicious, wasn't a bad hit. Injuries happen. It's NFL. I don't see what the arguing and bitching back and forth does anyone, in fairness. Also, Bengals AJ Green, he's also doubtful as well. He's undergoing the league's concussion protocol now. Antonio Brown, he actually set the scoring underway with a 71-yard punt return before Dalton and the Bengals replied. And in fairness, their touchdown came from a smart shovel pass to running back Gio Bernard, who went a tough 17 yards for the touchdown. Few field goals, and a Martavius 21-yard touchdown gave the Steelers a 20-10 lead at the half. The third quarter, that was scoreless, but an impressive 15-play, 89-yard drive sealed with a Jermaine Gresham touchdown got the Bengals to within 3. And then the Bengals are on the march, and what would have been a go-ahead score, but Antoine Blake stripped AJ Green and what would prove to be a decisive moment in this contest. On the ensuing drive, Big Ben hit Antonio Brown for a game-sealing 63-yard touchdown. Again, that score, 27-17. I actually watched this game in its entirety. That doesn't by no means reflect how this game went. It was a very, very good game, close contest. And in fairness, without that fumble, I think the Bengals might have actually sneaked that one. So, great game. Steelers, they faced I just mentioned it, the Ravens get a home game, and the Bengals travel to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. So just check in again. I see Twitter's going wild. Yeah, Huddle Magazine, at Huddle Magazine, they say we'll be watching the situation closely in regards to Le'Veon Bell. Don't know if he will be available or not. Oh, sorry, that's actually a quote from Tomlin. I'll reread that again. He says, we will be watching the situation closely in regards to Lev Bell. I don't know if he will be available or not. So that is a quote from Tomlin. Right then, let's get back to these games. A nice segue. Huddle Magazine, Tom's a Jags fan. Next game up, Jags at Texans. Right then, the Texans did win this one, and at one point during the early games, as I mentioned earlier on, the Texans, they held up their side of the bargain. They could have got sneaked into the playoffs. They won this one 23-17. Results conspired against them as this Bill O'Brien team, who for a second week with Case Keenum under centre, led them to victory over a frisky Jags outfit. Soon to be league MVP JJ Watt had 3 sacks and a safety, forced fumble, just crowning. We've been banging this drum for a long time now about JJ Watt, but everyone seems to say, oh, Aaron Rodgers, we love you more than chocolate, and Aaron Rodgers will probably get it, and it's a farce. Fair dues, he's had a good season, but now the fact that someone trod on his ankle, all the sympathy's out, so he's probably got an extra few votes for that. But give it JJ Watt, break the trend. Why the quarterbacks have to have all the praise. Plus, Aaron Rodgers already got an MVP under his belt, so just give it Watt. Anyway, to get back to this game, I have no idea where I am Where we? Yeah, Blake Bortles and co. let their lead slip in the fourth quarter as the Texans reeled off 9 unanswered points. Keenum, he threw for 250 yards, 2 TDs and a pick. Andre Johnson, he was the main benefactor of Keenum's play as he signed off with his season-high 134 yards and a touchdown from 10 receptions. As for the Jags, Bortles, he was under constant pressure throughout the day. He completed just 14 of 33 attempts for 117 yards. He did, however, have some joy on the ground as he did rush for 61 yards. And that led the team. That's kind of disappointing for the Jags from a running perspective, considering Toby Gerhart was supposed to be the best runner in the league coming into this. And just jumping in on Twitter, on the Spreaker app here, because John's asking, what are your thoughts on Ndamukong Suh's only getting a 1-game ban? I asked this question on Twitter at Zone Coverage FS earlier on today, and I look back and you remember the game, it was the Bengals and the Panthers. Vontaze Burfict, he was seen not once but twice purposely twisting, I think it was Cam Newton's ankle and Greg Olsen's ankle. He got a $25,000 fine, and he is blatantly doing that. With the Suh thing, you can argue that it's one of them. For me, he has stepped on him. He's not stamped. I think he definitely knows what he's doing, and it's a bit more. It's sneakily done, and the fact that he is sort of not looking directly at him stamping, I'm not condoning it. I'm not saying it's a good thing. What I am saying is it's nowhere near as blatant as what Burfict was doing. I did get a couple of responses, and they were saying that Suh's been fined so many times by the league. He's the dirtiest player, renowned for it. And yeah, maybe reputation does precede him and does him no favours. But if Burfict gets caught doing it twice in a game and only gets a $25,000 fine, why does Suh then get a 1-game ban? And let's say Suh had trodden on Cutler. There wouldn't have been half this thing. It's because he's trod on Aaron Rodgers, and everyone goes, well, you can't do that. And it's ridiculous. What I think I can see the argument for both sides, is what I'm trying to say. Suh, yeah, you shouldn't do that, get banned. It's one of them things. Burfict did what he did. He was dealt with. My issue is the consistency of the issue, of the matter, in fairness, because Burfict's done one thing, fine. Suh's done one thing, and ban. Or maybe, if the league needs to do themselves some favours, why don't they, when they give these game bans out, they say, right, after reviewing the evidence on the videotape and taking into consideration this particular player's past, we've decided that he is maybe a persistent nuisance and he should be fined. And we know there was an incident earlier on in the season, but again, it's poor by the NFL. This whole season has been misjudged and mismanaged from a consistency level in every aspect, and that's something that what's his name? I forget now. The ginger youth who's in charge. It'll come to me in a minute. But yeah, they just need the commission, Roger Goodell. Once Goodell, they need to sit down, reassess the entire situation, and just sort the crap out, because it's borderline embarrassing. For me, I don't agree with the suspension. Give him a fine, move on. If you want your best players on the field, and obviously there is some exceptions to that, but you want your best players on the field for that game. For me now, the Cowboys have it a hell of a lot easier because Suh isn't there, and that's not fair. But then again, you're going to say it's not fair what he did. It's just going to go round and round in circles. But for me, I think it's crazy. John actually replied to this, says weak call has been banned, finding the fast for dirties. Yeah, at some point enough is enough. Yeah, that's fair comment. That is a sort of argument that is going back and forth, but I just want some consistency from someone. Like you probably want some consistency from the nonsense that I spew out, which I will add. Just one more thing, actually. John Cartwright comes back. He says you should have been banned for 3 or 4 games. Burfict should have had at least as much for his ankle job against the Panthers. It's a tough enough game. It needs stamping out. I'm with you on that, John. It does need stamping out. Again, the rules are... They ski whiff at times, aren't you? it's like that nonsense as well with what was it? The Beats headphones. You wear Beats headphones. You're not allowed to wear them because the league's sponsored by Bose. That's a 10 grand fine. Doing something and a dodgy hit or whatever gets an 8 grand fine. It's just a mess. It just frustrates me. It really, really does. Right then, that's a right little rant going on there. Great input though, guys. Appreciate that. Right then, where was I? Yeah, another perfect segue. You guys are helping me out today. Going into the Lions and Packers games, yeah. The Packers edged out the Lions to earn themselves a bye as they locked up the North. The bye will be welcomed for Aaron Rodgers, who left the game midway through the second quarter as he tweaked a calf and a touchdown pass to Randall Cobb. The Lions bounced back in Rodgers' absence as they reeled off 14 points thanks to touchdowns from two touchdowns from Megatron. The first off the back of an 8-play 77-yard drive. The second was an 11-play 55-yard drive. Rodgers returned to the game in the third quarter to see out the victory. Eddie Lacy, that was the matchup I was looking forward to. Eddie Lacy against this Lions D. He went for 100 yards. As we've just talked about, in my notes here, I've put much will be made about Sue treading on Rodgers' ankle, and I've also put it's bang out of order. And then I also put, that's the crazy kind of stuff he does. Not as that is an excuse. The Lions, in fairness, they had a shot to win this. Limited time in the contest. I think they needed 2 touchdowns, 2 2-point conversions, and onside kicks and all that. I think they missed the 2-point conversion on one of those. Matthew Stafford, he may well have thrown 3 touchdowns, but he completed under 50% of his passes on the day. Stafford missed a lot of throws, in fairness. He was high on a number of occasions throughout this. He has been on the last about 3 or 4 weeks. So something's wrong with Stafford. The Lions' record of not winning in Green Bay, that continues. And it's 1991 was the last time that they won in Green Bay. So right then, let's go on into the next game, which was the Cowboys-Redskins. This one's finished 44-17 in favour of the Cowboys. And with that, the Cowboys finished with an 8-0 record on the road as they basically just abused this Redskins woeful defence. Dez Bryant, he had 4 catches for 99 yards, 2 touchdowns. One was a spectacular 65-yard run. Well, the spectacular part was he broke past the first corner, and then everyone else just sort of jogged half-heartedly after Dez Bryant. He had a fair game. He had a good game, in fairness. He broke the Cowboys team record, 16 TDs. That beats the previous, which was held by Terrell Owens. DeMarco Murray, he also broke a record. Emmitt Smith, rushing record. That went, he went over 100 yards for the 12th time this season. In fairness, it was never a contest. The Cowboys were 27-10 up at the half. RG3, I mentioned a week or 2 ago now, shown some promise, but oh man, he was bad. He was bad Sunday. He threw 2 picks, 2 in the red zone, also lost a fumble. That was returned for a touchdown, which is bizarre because he threw for a career-high 336 yards. Basically, touchdown-wise for the Cowboys, everyone pretty much had one. And for the Redskins, no one tackled. The Cowboys are awesome. The Redskins were muck. Let's move on. And then to the Jets beat down of the Dolphins. That is maybe an exaggeration my end, but it's only a little bit of glory I can cling on to and what's been a miserable season for the Jets. The Jets gave Rex a nice leaving present and a cracking game of ball as they ensured the Dolphins would finish with an 8-8 record yet again. All the Dolphins are new Cowboys, and they have Joe Philbin returning. Good luck, Dolphins, next year. The Jets, they overcame a 10-point deficit that was wrapped up in between a 97-yard Lamar Miller touchdown. Geno Smith had a career day, 32 yards and no picks. I'm only joking. He went off for 358 yards and 3 touchdowns. Eric Decker was the benefactor here as he also had a career day with 10 receptions, 221 yards and a touchdown. Get there. Punter Ryan Quigley, good old Quiggers. He was in on the action. He had a 38-yard pass to tight end Zach Sudfeld. and you know your team's a bad team when you look at the Jets, and it's now looking like that the punter is quite possibly the best quarterback on the roster. Sad times in New York. Anyway, Tannehill, he was sacked 6 times. He completed 23 of 39, 259 yards and a touchdown. And anyone remember Brian Hartline? He decided to have a day today. On Sunday, he had 5 catches, 94 yards. And I do believe that, was it Mike Wallace that just decided, I don't want to play anymore, and did one at half-time. Anyway, the Jets end the season with no coach or GM and the 6th overall pick in the draft. Great job. Right then, let's have a quick look on Twitter. Yeah, Rocket Ron's been untouched there. Agree the Cowboys should take on Sue. Some spelling errors going on there. Huddle Magazine, Keenum looked good in the game. I said to you last year, should be given a proper shot. That's from Tom at Huddle Magazine. Both the Johns, they pretty much in agreement with the shoe matter, getting 3 or 4 games and that there. So, fair comments, guys. Real good insight there. So good stuff again from the 2 Johns in the Spreaker app. Right then, 35 minutes, that's flown by. Get into this next game. Next on my docket, I've got the Colts 27 at the Tennessee Titans. Talking about teams here, pretty much a segue from the Jets to the Titans. Titans, they lost their 10th game on the bounce and locked up the number 2 pick in the draft. Great job, Titans. Andrew Luck, he actually broke one of the record holders, Peyton Manning's records with the Colts, as he surpassed the 4,700 yard total that Manning had set a few years ago. The Colts pulled most of their starters in the second half. And the wonder of Whitehurst, yes, clipboard Jesus, Charlie Whitehurst, he averaged just 2.6 yards per passing attempt. I mean, these are woeful. Our punter is basically better than Charlie Whitehurst. He finished with figures of 12 of 28 for 72 yards. Just madness. Absolute madness. That's it. The Colts, they face the Bengals in the playoffs. That's all I've got to say on that game. I didn't really pay a great deal of attention to it, in fairness. On then into the Bears-Vikings game. Vikings won this one 13-9. Cutler's returned to the fold. And whilst he was without a fumble, fumble and interception free, he only amassed 172 yards passing as the offensive funk for the Bears continued. Matt Forte, he was held to 51 yards off 17 carries. He's been held under 60 yards or less 8 times this season. Vikings running back Matt Asiata, he's had a decent year in fairness. I like what I've seen from Asiata. He had 91 yards off 19 carries. The Bears, they settled for 3 Robbie Gould field goals. They did have 2 touchdowns overturned. One was a Kyle Fuller pick. He returned to the house only to be ruled down just inside the 10. The other one, I'm convinced it was Alshon Jeffrey one, caught a touchdown pass, but I think one of his foot was out of bounds. The gloved wonder, good old Teddy Bridgewater, he looked pretty damn composed at times as he led a third quarter 80-yard touchdown drive. For the Bears, the season end, that's come a few weeks too late. It's a welcome sight for them. But if I was a Vikings fan and Vikings in general, I'd be upset that the season's over, because the past few weeks Teddy Bridgewater has shown me a little bit and a little bit more every week, showing great progression. And off-season with him, I am very, very interested to see how he continues his development into next year, and could probably make the case that Bridgewater has probably been the best of the rookies in this season, and their rookie season quarterback-wise. So to me, Vikings done a damn good job this season. I know the record, you can look at that and say it's a losing season. I think they've had a decent year, especially if you take into consideration the AP nonsense. As for the Bears, their offensive talent, they've got no excuses for their record. Just an absolute complete mess. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with those. We also already know that Trestman and the GM is gone. So we'll see how that develops. Right then, talking of which, both the Johns are talking actually about the Vikings, and John Cartwright pretty much echoes my thoughts on Teddy Bridgewater, saying that he had a promising rookie year. So, yeah, John McDonald, who is our resident Vikings fan, what are your thoughts on Teddy Bridgewater? You've obviously seen a lot more of him than what I have, but as I said earlier, I've been very, very impressed by what I've seen of him, especially over the course of the last few weeks. Don't get me wrong, he's had his growing pains, as all rookie quarterbacks do, but he's been impressive for me. Right then, let's move on then. And the next game I've got is the Bills-Patriots. So, the Patriots, well, they were about as interested in this game as I am about talking about it. No Gronk for the Pats. Kyle Orton, who's now sailed off into the sunset until some desperate team says, "Yo, Kyle, here's $5 million. Want to play ball?" He actually threw for a touchdown, 176 yards, as the Bills ensured that they finished with a winning record for the first time in 10 seasons. So, congrats to the Bills. Pats just didn't turn up. It was just, well, it was like pre-season. So that's all I've got to say on that game. Right then. John sort of followed up, John Cartwright and Spreaker actually. Rookie QBs this year. He's gone Carr, Teddy B, Bortles, Mettenberger. Yeah, Carr's had a good season. I forget about it. I think I've just seen more of Bridgewater, in fairness, than Carr. But maybe you could go 1A, 1B. There's not a lot that separates them. And then, yeah, Bortles. Mettenberger's been a nice surprise. He didn't. I know he's injured and that. We didn't see a great deal of him, but maybe a bit of coaching. Got a good arm and stuff. Still needs to work on his fundamentals. But you never know with Mettenberger. Be interested to see what the Titans do. In fairness, going forward. Right then, enter the next game I have up, which is the Eagles. 34, the Giants 26. With the victory, the Eagles snapped a 3-game losing streak as both teams combined for a total of 931 yards on offense. Yes, been busy in Tees Towers, had the calculator out earlier. Eli Manning, he threw for 429 yards, connecting once again with rookie sensation Odell Beckham, who had a career day. He had 185 yards, 1 touchdown, coming off 12 receptions. This game got off to a fast start with 24 points in the first quarter. Andre Williams, 1-yard touchdown rush, capped an 80-yard drive by the Giants, but the Eagles replied as Sanchez hit Jordan Matthews for a 44-yard score to tie things up. They then added a second touchdown from tight end Brent Selleck on a 7-play, 75-yard drive. Josh Brown brought the Giants to within 4 points with a 38-yard field goal. Both teams then exchanged field goals before the half. The Eagles then turned the screw during the second half with a block punt that was returned to the house via Trey Burton. They then added another rushing touchdown via a Chris Polk 1-yard run. Odell Beckham then went off, 63-yard touchdown. That pulled the Giants to within 5 points in the fourth quarter. But a Cody Parker 39-yard field goal settled it for the Eagles. Stats-wise, Jordan Matthews, he had 105 yards receiving. LaShawn McCoy, he rushed for 99 yards. Ruben Randall, he had his second 3-figure game of the year on the bounce, as he reeled in 6 catches for a huge 158 yards. Right then. So that was a belting game, that was. Again, no defense in that one. On then into the battle of two really, really poor teams. The Bucs, they threw away a 20-7 halftime lead to ensure that we'll hear 20,000 different takes on who they'll take as the number 1 overall pick in the upcoming draft, as they lost 23-20 to the New Orleans Saints. Once again, Mike Evans reeled in a touchdown catch for the Bucs. That was his 12th of the season, and it was also the first time in 6 games he'd gone over 50 yards receiving. Weird that is. Mike Evans hardly gets the yards. I think he had a couple of games where he went off, but he's clear red zone threat. He's had an excellent rookie season as well, in fairness. During this game, we had a muscle hamster sighting as Doug Martin went over 100 yards. He had 108 for the first time. First time this year. Been a bit of a down year for the muscle hamster. Despite 3 interceptions, taking his tally to 5 in his last 2 games, Drew Brees and the Saints showed some fighting spirit as they prevented the Bucs from adding any points during the second half of the game and scored 16 points of their own thanks to touchdowns from Mark Ingram, Marquise Colston and Junior Gillette. Strip sack, safety, a sack of Josh McCown in the end zone came in the final 65 seconds of the game. That sealed it for the Saints. The Bucs finished 0-8 at home. That is bad Bucs fans. Bad job. Talking of 0-8 records, perfect segue. That's exactly what the Raiders achieved. But their 0-8 record, that was on the road. They fell 47-17 to the Denver Broncos. 3 touchdowns again for running back C.J. Anderson. Wide out, Demaryius Thomas reeled in 8 of 17 targets as he went for 115 yards. That was the third game on the bounce for Thomas that he's gone over 100 yards. Anyone remember running back Ronnie Hillman? Well, he saw some action for the first time in a while. I think he's been about 4 or 5 weeks since Hillman's been in the side. He had 15 carries for 56 yards. As for the Raiders, just a poor performance all round. They were held under 200 yards in total offense. So the Broncos with an easy victory there over division rivals. The Raiders, just going to check in on Spreaker as I can see the two Johns having an interesting debate. Well, not debate, really, a chat about the quarterbacks. John listed his earlier: Carr, Teddy B, Bortles, Mettenberger. Then John McDonald replied saying midway through last season that he wanted Teddy as our quarterback. He's not let him down. Yeah, he has not, John. He's been an excellent addition to your team. He says, Carr has looked very good this season. I like what we are building. A very good young team going in the right way. Can't argue with you there, John. So, yeah, onwards and upwards for the Vikings. A nice foundation has been laid during the 2014 season. And then to our next game, what was it now? Yeah, the Jim Harbaugh era. That came to an end on Sunday with a 20-17 win over the Cardinals in Levi Stadium. Frank Gorn turned on the style as he rushed for 144 yards. And what could also be his last game in a 49ers uniform. Frank's big day helped him break the 1,000-yard rushing barrier for the 8th time in 10 seasons. Defeat for the Cardinals means no bye for them, and they travel to Charlotte to take on the Panthers this weekend. On the day, both teams fell just shy of 400 yards in total offense. Game-wise, the Cards opened up the scoring with an 80-yard, 13-play drive capped by a Michael Floyd 20-yard touchdown reception. The 49ers responded as Kaepernick then hit Anquan Bolden, for a 76-yard score. 2 Phil Dawson field goals put the 49ers up, but a Chandler, I can't say Chandler, anyway, the Cardinals field goal guy, he replied with a couple of field goals of his own, one from 36 yards. One field goal. I've made a mess of that now because I stumbled that sodding name. Anyway, we had a second Michael Floyd touchdown, this one from 41 yards. Both the field goal and touchdown came in the final 95 seconds of the half, giving the Cardinals a then 17-13 lead as they entered half-time. The only score in the second half came via Bruce Miller. That capped an 82-yard 10-play drive as the 49ers saw off the Cardinals 20-17. Just one game left. Wow, that's gone quick. Right then, on then into the final game. I scrolled down then and saw a shock as my notes came to an abrupt end. The St. Louis Rams travelled to the Seattle Seahawks. In this one, the Seahawks locked up the number 1 seed, ensuring that once again the road to the Super Bowl is via Seattle. In fairness, they made hard work of this against a resilient Rams team who held a 6-0 lead at the half thanks to 2 Greg the Leg field goals. One from 42 yards, the second from 45 yards. The Seahawks first half was poor. Their drives ended like this: punt, turnover on downs, interception, fumble, punt. However, the Seahawks defense sprung to life in the second half, creating turnovers at critical times, and this pretty much sunk the Rams. They had back-to-back picks and then a forced fumble. The offense also found its rhythm. Steve Husker, why can't I say punters' names? and kickers, field goal kickers' names. Can't even speak. He scored a field goal to level things up. Beast Mode then capped a 6-play, 54-yard drive with a 9-yard rushing touchdown before a Bruce Irvine's pick six put the icing on the cake for the Seattle Seahawks. They are the number 1 seed. They get a week off. Whoever's got to go through to Seattle, good luck with that. That's it then. That is the roundup of your Week 17 games. It's been an absolutely fantastic end to the season. Just check in again on Spreaker as the two Johns are doing me proud. A lot of chit-chat in here today. So John has replied to Vikings John. He says, before Asiata and Jarrett McKinnon have done well at running back and AP's absence. Says Greg Jennings is still doing it. Plenty to like for your guys going forward. Right then, so that pretty much wraps up the show for today. I will give you the playoff scenario heading into the weekend on Saturday. All the games, by the way, are on Sky. So we have, first up, I do believe, is the Arizona Cardinals at the Carolina Panthers. That is the 9 o'clock game. I'm not sure what time Sky actually kicks in. I've not double-checked that, but I've got the times down for us. Then we have the Ravens at Steelers. So it's an all-nighter Saturday, everyone. So just lace the wife with an extra bit of booze. Actually don't, because that'd be bad. Shouldn't really say stuff like that. But you know what I mean. Maybe wine and dine, take her out for a nice meal early, then full belly, food coma, bed, pull an all-nighter. Ravens at Steelers is your 1:15 a.m. game. Then into Sunday, we have the Bengals at Colts. The Colts give the Bengals a beat down the last time these two met. So that is your 6 o'clock game on Sky on Sunday. And then the late game, or the later game, is the Lions at Cowboys. Kickoff there 9:40 p.m. UK time. So that is the Lions Cowboys. That wraps up the wild card weekend action. As I swing an arm and a wire hits the deck. So that pretty much rounds up today's show. In fairness, I will be back again on Sunday, 4 till 5:30. There's not going to be any fantasy news or anything like that. What I will do, I do believe the wife's working Sunday, so I'm going to pull an all-nighter. So what I will do, I will give you a review of what happens during the Saturday games. So we'll have an in-depth look at the Cardinals, Panthers, Ravens, Steelers games. I will also preview the Bengals, Colts, Lions, Cowboys game. I'm calling it now. Anyone know any Colts fans or Bengals fans? I want to get them on for the fan versus fan. I'm going to have to up my game in regards to fan versus fan as we head into the playoffs. Because if not, I know I can get the Cowboys fans, and they're undefeated on the feature. They've been on twice. So I can rally a Cowboys fan and probably a Lions fan. But if we could get Bengals and Colts on and mix things up, I don't think we've had Colts fans on yet this year. So I'm going to have to try and sort that out. So sort of a rallying call if you've got any friends or maybe someone you dislike and you want to see them get embarrassed by some friendly banter on the radio, then send them my way at Zone Coverage FS. Right then, we will wrap up the show with a little bit of housekeeping. You've probably heard it 1,000 times before, but it doesn't hurt to advertise. Right then, the show-wise, tune in, Spreaker. The Spreaker app today has been an absolute fantastic hit. Vikings, John. I forget the other John's team now. He was telling me earlier. Chiefs. Vikings, John, and Chiefs, John. Appreciate the input there. Very, very interesting take on Sue. Good insight there, and I like that nice back and forth. Nice to see two guys just getting on within the chat room, actually, and praising each other's teams and seasons. So appreciate all the banter and insight and input, basically, and for tuning in as well, guys. Thank you very much. Also, I know Tom from Huddle Magazine, he's been in touch whilst we've been on air via Twitter. Ron's tweeted in as well. Will Davis, as always checking out. He's always I'm sure he's got some sort of, must have a personal record. 25 shows in, quarter of a century of shows, by the way. How quick has that gone? 25th episode of the Zone Coverage Football Show. That's absolutely frightening. If you go back to that first one, I was going to say I was a stuttering fool. I still am a stuttering fool, but I feel that the nerves have maybe faded a little bit now. Don't get me wrong, as soon as you click on that live button and the credits roll up, the intro music starts, it's still a little bit of butterflies every now and again, but I love doing it, so it's all good fun and made even more fun thanks to you guys. A quick plug as well, Tom at Huddle Magazine, huddlemagazine.com. Go check that out. The guys at Dundee NFL who's provided us with the fantasy advice throughout the season. Please give them a follow. Check out their podcast as well. You got Facebook page. You can find his website. All the links to iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spreaker. It's all there, as is the upcoming schedule when the next show's going to be. It's going to be Sunday for everyone listening in or listening back, 4 p.m. We will get that going. That's pretty much it. Cutting it 5 minutes short because I've got nothing left to say, in fairness, and that will be a first for me. Me quiet. So yeah, so that is it. I've already started work on quite a lot of notes, in fairness, for the wild card weekend, as in episode 26 of the Zone Coverage Show. So that is it. Again, a massive thank you to everyone that's tuned in today. And throughout the course of the season, I feel it's been a good rookie season. My end, I don't expect any grades, but if you want to send a grade in for the show, let's have a little bit of fun with that. I'm up for that. Again, New Year is on the horizon. Whatever you're doing, have a fantastic time. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the new year. Catch you all on Sunday. Thanks for checking out the Zone Coverage Football Show. And until next time, hustle, hit, and never quit.
Thank you for tuning in to today's show. Unable to listen live? We've got that covered. Simply search the Zone Coverage Football Show in either iTunes or Stitcher Radio. And don't forget to subscribe. All our shows and details on how to call into the show can be found on the website www.zonecoveragefootballshow.com.